think it's foul because one, my sister is disabled. Her arm, she has one arm that she's working with. This one, you can tell if you look at her. This arm is disabled because it sits like this. So my thing is, why would my sister get into deep water like that when it's a tide and she knows she can't swim?
Taleah Lowe had the kind of personality that could make people forget she was carrying any burden at all. She was funny without trying, quick with a comeback, intelligent, and the type of young woman who could light up a room before anyone noticed she had even walked in. Most people never realized she had a disability because she refused to let it define the way she moved through life. Diagnosed as a baby with partial paralysis in her left arm, Teleah couldn't raise it beyond her chest. As a little girl, that reality stung. She loved the water more than almost anything, yet while other children splashed and swam without a second thought, she often stood on the shoreline, forced to admire it from a distance. Life had introduced her to disappointment before she was old enough to spell the word. But if tragedy teaches anything, it's that some people become experts at making peace with the hands they've been dealt. Teleah eventually stopped mourning what she couldn't do and started embracing everything she still could. Beach trips with family, laughter with friends, and refusing to let pity become part of her identity became her quiet rebellion. She adapted while life kept moving, believing that the hardest battles were already behind her. Like so many young people, she thought perseverance guaranteed tomorrow. The streets and sometimes life itself don't honor that contract. By 2021, the Wisconsin native had crossed one of the biggest milestones of her young life, graduating from high school and leaving home to attend Grand Valley State University in Allendale, Michigan. The campus sat about 5 hours away, far enough to chase independence, but close enough that home never felt out of reach. It was supposed to be the beginning of everything she'd worked for, earning her bachelor's degree, building lifelong friendships, and creating the future she had imagined despite every obstacle she'd already overcome. Instead, just 2 months into her freshman year, Teleah's college journey came to a devastating end. The chapter that should have concluded with a diploma would instead end with investigators, heartbreak, and a family forced to identify their loved one far sooner than anyone ever should. Welcome to the American Crime Femicide channel. Please like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for future uploads. What exactly happened on the night of October 14, 2021 remains a mystery. Nearly 5 years later, there are still more questions than answers. By the time she arrived at Grand Valley State University, 18-year-old Teleah had already begun building a new life. She had found a small circle of friends, including 2 young women named Rachel Paulson and Chloe Ward. According to people who knew them, they loved having fun together, and one of their favorite activities was spending time around the water. After a few months of hanging out, the women invited Lowe to Pere Marquette Beach in Muskegon. The plan, according to family, wasn't for Teleah to swim. She couldn't. Because of the partial paralysis in her left arm, swimming had never been an option. She simply loved sitting on the beach, feeling the sand beneath her feet, and listening to the waves crash against the shoreline. But there was another problem. It was October in Michigan. The water was frigid. The sun had long disappeared. Visibility was limited. The lake was rough. Common sense would have told most people this wasn't the night to test Mother Nature. But common sense has a strange way of disappearing whenever people start chasing memories they'll never live long enough to remember. Before leaving, Teleah called her grandmother, Shirley McCurdy, to tell her about the evening's plans. Shirley admitted she wasn't comfortable with the idea. Why so late? Why the beach? Lowe reassured her she wasn't getting into the water. She just wanted to relax, enjoy the scenery, and spend time with friends. Before hanging up, she told her grandmother she loved her. She promised she'd talk to her later. Sadly, later never came. According to allegations later shared by members of Teleah's family, Rachel and Chloe picked up 2 young men before arriving at the beach. One person close to Lowe later claimed she hadn't known additional people would be joining them and wanted to leave after realizing who else was in the car. But the group continued to the beach anyway. Exactly what happened once they arrived remains disputed. Authorities stated that Teleah entered Lake Michigan with 4 other people during dangerous water conditions. The others resurfaced. Lowe did not. At approximately 10:45 p.m., Muskegon police received a 911 call reporting that a swimmer had been caught in a rip current. Rescue crews responded, and Teleah was eventually recovered from the water. Her death was ruled an accidental drowning. For investigators, the case appeared to be over. For her family, it was only beginning. Within hours of learning Lowe had died, relatives flooded social media, insisting the official explanation didn't make sense. They questioned the timeline, the behavior of those who had been with her, and details they believed investigators had overlooked. Escalating, who identified himself as Teleah's cousin, said, "Her name is Taleah Lowe. My little cousin was last seen hanging with a group of white girls, and now she is dead. Their stories do not add up, period. How did all of you guys end up in a rip current, and she is the only girl who died? Black at that. Why did you guys call around asking for the code to her phone? Why did you guys set up a GoFundMe the same night my cousin died? Not even an hour after. Why did you guys pack up her clothes before they even found her body? Those white girls killed my baby cousin, and we want justice." The post spread quickly. Not everyone agreed. Beneath Isaiah's post, a woman identified as Jody Paulson, who may be related to Rachel Paulson, left a comment that many viewers considered inflammatory. She wrote, "I don't know about y'all's family, but in ours we don't commit murders. Maybe that's an everyday thing for you gangbangers, but that's not how it works in our neck of the woods." Instead of calming tensions, the comment poured gasoline on an already raging fire. As the post circulated, more people who claimed to know Teleah began sharing their own thoughts. Sydney Page wrote, "She grew up around water and knew damn well when it wasn't safe to be in. This was not an accident." Alondra Northern, who described herself as one of Teleah's closest friends, wrote, "I knew Teleah like the back of my hand, and one thing I didn't know was that Teleah didn't like water. This wasn't an accident. Because of this, one of my best friends is gone. The people who were with her got to go home and see their parents while my girl was being put in a body bag. I will not stop until I find out what happened to my baby." Isaiah later posted another message, writing, "They said jumping in the water was on their bucket list. Teleah ain't never been the type to do nothing like that. She didn't even know how to swim. They killed my baby cousin, and we want justice. We will be coming to Grand Valley to protest and demand an investigation." Those posts alone generated thousands of reactions. Then Teleah's aunt, Angela, published allegations that would take the controversy to another level. According to Angela, the funeral director informed the family that Teleah had extensive bruising, patches of missing hair, bruises around her neck, and a knot on the side of her head. Angela also alleged that another parent had contacted members of the family and shared information about what her daughter claimed happened that night. Angela wrote, "Family and friends, the funeral director told my family and me that my niece had bruises all over her body consistent with being punched and beaten very badly. My sister Denise did Teleah's hair, and she had patches of hair missing all over her head, bruises around her neck, and a knot on the side of her head. To say we are pissed is an understatement. Last week, one of the girls that was with Teleah that night, her mother called my son and spoke with my mother. What she had to say about what her daughter told her about that night brought me to my knees with rage. Teleah wasn't supposed to be there. She didn't want to go, but they convinced her. They picked up 2 white boys on the way to the beach that night. She said Teleah wanted to leave once they got there, but the white girls and boys had other plans. They proceeded to grab and beat my niece like she was an animal. Summing it all up, Taleah Lowe was murdered because she was a sweet black girl. I'm forming a march. We need everyone's support. Them white dogs murdered the wrong black kid. My niece was everything. She loved life and loved people no matter what race they were. Share this message. We won't back down." Angela later made another post accusing the women who were with Teleah of lying to investigators. She wrote, "Anyone who was near the lake in Muskegon, Michigan, on October 14th, contact me immediately as well as the police. These girls lied and told officers that Teleah tucked her phone in her panties and walked into the water. A family member called Teleah's phone, and one of those girls answered and asked for her password. By that point, the family's trust in the investigation had collapsed. Disappointed that the case had been ruled an accidental drowning so quickly and disturbed by what they believed was suspicious behavior after Taleah's death, they turned to the public in hopes someone would come forward with information.
We want people to know that Teleah was a very bright, intelligent, smart, fun-loving, outgoing girl.
The family of 18-year-old Taleah Lowe grieving her loss. Her body was recovered from Lake Michigan last Friday morning.
We also want people to know that Teleah could not swim. She had a disability, partial paralysis in, I can't remember, her left arm from birth.
So they say she would not have gone into the water. Muskegon Public Safety says last Thursday, October 14th, they were dispatched to Pere Marquette due to calls of a, quote, swimmer struggling in the rip current around 10:45 p.m. Early the next morning, they recovered her body.
Leo knew about the tide, and I just don't think it's right. I just don't think Leo would go that far out in the water by herself, knowing about the tide that late at night.
Also that night, the family says they saw a GoFundMe account created for Teleah.
They started a GoFundMe for my sister without any of the family's consent first, or not even 2 hours after Teleah was found.
It's why the family believes there's more to the story about what happened that night at Pere Marquette. They believe others were with her, and they've been in consistent contact with authorities.
So he was saying that the report was still open. He said the case is not closed. He don't have the preliminary autopsy yet. He said, but once he gets the preliminary autopsy, he can see, what happened.
Now, Fox 17 did reach out to Muskegon officials, and they said in an email this morning, quote, there is no information that suggests this was anything but a tragic drowning event caused by unsafe swimming conditions in Lake Michigan. We also reached out to GVSU, where she was a student at, and they shared with us this updated statement. It says, in part, that Grand Valley State community is mourning the loss of Taleah Lowe. While the Muskegon Police Department continues the investigation, our campus resources are being used to support those in our community who are experiencing trauma and intense grief. Student affairs staff has been meeting with students and Taleah's family and offering support.
Nearly 5 years have passed. No one has been charged in connection with Taleah's death, and no public evidence has emerged that changed the official ruling. Even so, questions raised by the family continue to circulate online. Supporters point to the allegations about Taleah's phone, the reported bruising described by relatives, and the actions of others that night as reasons they believe the case deserved closer scrutiny. Authorities, however, have not publicly announced evidence supporting those allegations or changed the ruling. Whether this case was a tragic accident or whether there are unanswered questions that deserve another look remains a matter of public debate. One thing is not debated. A young woman who overcame adversity, left home chasing a college degree, and dreamed of building a future, never made it back home. Instead, her family has spent years searching for answers that, in their eyes, never came. May Taleah Lowe rest in peace.